fail to reject. You only get 2 decisions from this. That's your decision. Reject H0, fail to reject H0. So far, we've only learned how to do it based on the probability of your area under the curve. That's called your p-val. Yes.
So if it was bigger than 500,
fail to reject. So in this one here, when we tested this one, this area, this was greater than our level of significance, so we failed to reject H0. All they wanted out of this was just a decision based on your p-val, based on your area under your curve. P-val stands for probability value, your value, the area underneath the curve for that particular z-score. That's why your sketches are very important. Do you want a left tail? Do you want a right tail? Do you want a two-tail? Okay? Yes. 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 A two-tail test. Yes, not together. Okay, a two-tail test. Now, when you look up 2.30 on the right-hand side, it is the same on the left-hand side with the negative. It is a symmetric curve. One of the properties is symmetry. It's symmetric about the mean. So the area on the left is the same as the area on the right. So therefore, when you look up the negative 2.3 and you find this area, it is the same as this area on this side. Just take your area and times it by 2. When you want a not equal, the only thing you don't want for it to be is equal. You don't care if it's the less than or the greater than. It just can't be equal. So you have 2 chances at this. So you multiply it by 2, and then you compare it to your level of significance. And you make your decision based on that. Good?
so which value are you using? The 1 times 2? Or
You're using this one when you look it up, and then it's the same as this one over here. So you're technically adding them together. The shortcut is just find one of them, multiply it by 2. That's the same as adding them together. So we just take one tail and we multiply it by 2. And we're using that total value to compare. A two-tail test gives you 2 chances of getting it right. Okay. Number 8, it's matched up to letter D. The area under the curve was here. You could also look this area up and make sure it matched up to that.
just look it up.
Yeah, just go to your z-score
What do
table.
you look up? Like,
Your z-score. Did they give you the area and you tell me Z?
But they only give you P equals, but how are you supposed to
Inverse norm.
Uh,
Do inverse norm. Because that gives you, remember when you have the area and you need to find the z-score? Inverse norm. Do an inverse norm on it. What you just have to put in perspective is, where is it? So if I do this, and I get my z-score of negative 2.22, it could either be the negative or it could be the positive, right? In this case, it was the positive, because it's equal over here. So actually what you found was this one, but they gave you the positive, because the area under the tail is exactly the same. So you had to give it a little bit of thought. The one that was tricky was the two-tailed one. The two-tailed one, you had to cut your area in half. If your area didn't match, you had to cut it in half.
You saw something?
Yeah. Alright. This one, and they gave you actually the higher one when you looked up the lower one. Just remember the symmetry in your curve. Alright. 14 said you were given a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis. So our tail in our graph goes by our alternative. So therefore, this tells us left tail test. You know it's this little area over here. And they gave you the p-val. All they wanted you to do was make a decision at 2 different levels of significance. So at the point 0, at the point 0.01, you compare it, fill it in. This is greater than. It's so much easier without the decimal. 691 is greater than 100. You fail to reject H0. Follow your chart. I will leave these charts up for you all the time. The second one, also, they changed their level of significance. The area didn't change. Now, what happens is normally, if you test a higher level of significance and it fails to reject, it's going to fail to reject at a smaller level of significance. So that's one thing kind of to remember. All right, let's walk one through. And I think this will kind of like pull this together, hopefully. Okay, number 30. You have a claim. Your claim is that your mean is greater than 1030. Your level of significance is 0.05. This is a population statement. You do a sampling. You check, you challenge the population based on your sample. So here's your sample information. Okay, so use your z-score formula, and since you have a sample size, you have to divide your standard deviation by the square root of n. You have a right-tailed test, so you know your z-score has to be positive. It's got to come out positive. So we test it. We find the area underneath the curve. It can't possibly be greater than 50%. So, I had to subtract it from 1. So all this, and we got your p-val now. Same thing we used to do. We tested your z-score, found your z-score, we found the area under the curve. We left it at that. We knew what the area under the curve was. That was your probability of something happening. Now this is what you're challenging with. So now you test it against your p-val. We find it's greater than, so therefore, according to your chart, we failed to reject the H0. Now, go back to your H0. Here's your chart. Follow your chart up here. This is so much easier with my chart. Your claim is your HA. So go down your HA column. You failed to reject HO. You're here. So this is your interpretation. There is not enough evidence to support the claim, because the claim was my my HA decision, that the mean is greater than 1030 at a level of significance of 0.05. Now, make sure you follow your chart. If your claim is your HA, notice your HA uses the word support. If your claim is your HO, it uses the word reject. So again, remember when we looked at that, decide how you want, if you ever get to choose, how you want to set up your claim. If you want to support, yes. If you want to, I'll be working one second. If you want to support something, make it your HA. If you want to oppose it, reject it, make it your HO. And from there, we make a decision. Jeremy?
It is really a really tough question, but what's the difference between the right tail test and the left tail test? I understand that one is testing the right and one is testing the left, but does that have anything to do with the results?
No, because your area is symmetric, so the area to the left is the same as the area to the right and your curve. It's just that's where you have to find your value. It's just going to be your value for your curve. Cypress?
How can you tell? Because like if it's a right to you have to do like 1 minus.
1 minus, but your curve is also symmetric. Your curve is symmetric, so even though this is 1.54, this is negative 1.54. You could always look up the negative 1.54. You get the same exact area under your curve, because your curve is symmetric. Okay? But follow your tail. I want the sketches. You need to know. Put your phone away, Darian. You need to know. When you get to this and you look up 1.54, that can't possibly be 93% of your curve. It's a little tiny tail. So, I forgot to subtract it from 1. If you didn't look up the negative part of it. I think it's easier to look up the negative part of it. You don't have to subtract it from 1. But whatever you decide is good. Okay, 32. Your claim this time is your HO. Make sure you give me these statements. Your claim is your HO. Your alternate is its complement, greater than. That's the tail that it follows.
So if it's higher than anything on the z-score, it's just equivalent to 0.
It depends. If you want the area to the right of it, then it is nothing to the right of it. If you want the area to the left of it, then that's 100% of it.
Okay.
Because technically your chart just goes up to 3.49, something like that, 3.50, around there. And then after that, it exists. It's just negligible. So anything to the right of that would be virtually zero. We say approximately 0%. Anything to the left would be approximately 100%. Never say exactly zero, because don't forget in probability, zero means it's impossible to happen. It just means it's negligible. So your chart only goes up to like 3.49, negative 3.49. So we take this, we compare it, and we reject your null. Now, this is your null. If you reject this, you had to support this. But because our claim was our null, we have to use, here's our claim, our null, and we rejected the null. There's enough evidence to reject the claim that this was significant at this level, and they didn't really give us anything, just that it was less than 22,500. Now, when you do this, guys, you don't have to use that exact word. You can use there's insufficient evidence, there's sufficient evidence, ample evidence, not enough evidence. It's just, this is the basic wording that you're going to see. The sufficient and the insufficient are very popular words. But I thought if we just stick to the basic words, that it would just make it easier. 33. This gave us a sample of 85. Here's your sample information. Pull out your sample information. We have to look for your claim. They gave you your sample first. Sometimes they do it differently. The test results prompts a state administrator to declare that the mean score is more than 260. After he looked at all this, he declared that it was more than 260. You want to support his claim. He used your information to make his claim. God bless you. So you obviously want to support him, right? He used your sample, right? So we want to support this guy. So we state our claim, our alternative, find your z-score, we've got a right-tail test, make your decision, and give me your interpretation. Your claim is your HA. You failed to reject your HO, which means you can't support your claim at HA. So there's not enough evidence to support this claim. You should have looked into it a little bit better. Okay? Again, when you look up the z-score, if you want to look it up over here instead, you get the same area under your curve. You're still doing a right-tail test, but your area is exactly the same. Okay, now the last one, I want to have time for this quiz. His claim is that they drink more than, that they drink more than 7 gallons per year. They sample 100 people. You've got your sample. Can you support? Support uses the HA. And HA for support. Whenever it's reject, it's an HO claim. So locate your right tail, your p-value, and your p-value is smaller than your level of significance. This time they put their level of significance at 0.07. They're allowed to. We had confidence intervals at 87%, 85, 82. You don't see it as often, but they can. And here's your interpretation. Use your chart to interpret. When you do that, make sure you specify that there's enough evidence to support the claim. That, put your claim in here. Make sure you put your claim in there. At your level of significance of 0.07. Questions? Questions?